The most important skill in modern B2B sales is the ability to sell value, not price. Hi, my name is Will and I make selling simple. Now today we're going to look at how to steer away from price so that you can compete on value instead. And if you sell either an expensive product or at the other end of the scale, a product that has lots of similar competitors, then this is the highest impact thing you can do today to drive more sales. According to Ajit Ghuman, most sellers struggle to communicate their value and so they get objections about their product's price.
Many times the issue of price is not the issue of price, it's a issue of we didn't communicate the value properly.
So with that in mind, what is value in the context of a B2B sale? Well, value is the difference between the intrinsic cost of a product and the price that the buyer actually pays. So let me give you a classic example here. So a car, for example, has an intrinsic cost in the fact that, well, it's made from lots of expensive materials. But the value of the car is that it takes you places. You don't have to take the bus. You can fit in more activities in your day. And if you get one that people aspire to have, it can make you look like an absolute boss as well. So as you can see from this example, it's much easier for a buyer to say yes to an offer with lots of perceived value because it makes the offer price look small in comparison. And this gets excited for sellers because the total value that you offer is your product value plus your value. So you actually have a leverage point here to close more deals. You don't have to rely on anyone else in your product development team or your marketing team to increase the value in the equation. You can increase one side of the value equation yourself. Which leads us to the question then, how do you as an individual seller add more value to your offer and make it an absolute no-brainer purchase for the buyer? First off, we're going to identify the buyer's real problems. Now, often buyers are going to come to you with what they believe is their issue, but in reality, they're just seeing the surface level problems, or they're seeing the symptom rather than the disease. You can add massive value to your potential customers here. With your experience, you're going to be perfectly situated to help the buyer diagnose what's actually going wrong. Think of it like this. Your buyer's coming to you and you're a mechanic and the buyer's saying, oh, my steering wheel, it's not working, it's causing me issues. They might even get in the car. They start turning the wheel and the direction of the car doesn't change. And you sit there and you're like, something else is going on here. So you're an expert in your space. You take a step back and you go, lo and behold, this frigging car has no wheels. No wonder turning the steering wheel doesn't change the direction that the car travels in. And in the same way, you can add massive value to your potential buyers by diagnosing the problem that's actually causing their issues, problems that they don't actually see. And using your experience to help the buyer ties in nicely to the next way that you can add value in this value equation, and that is via industry insights. So let me give you a practical example here. I have a couple of consulting clients that don't want me to teach them how to sell. They're already doing a great job at finding and closing deals. Instead, they want to jump on our weekly group coaching calls to get insights on what's working across the broader B2B sales industry. They're looking for cutting edge ideas and insights, not a foundational training plan. Now, you might not realize it, but you're probably full of industry insights that could be really valuable to your buyers as well. Just think how much time you spend in and around your specific industry. It's likely hundreds of times more experience in this specific sliver of your industry than what your buyers will ever have. Now, let me give you another example here. Back when I was in medical device sales, I was selling imaging, endoscopic, and camera equipment to surgeons in the operating room. Now, obviously, I did not know as much as a surgeon about the entire procedure that they were going to do that morning. But what's interesting is that they looked to me for advice and training about the endoscopes and camera systems that they used every day, but were not experts in. I was an expert in that tiny sliver of their day, and I could add dramatic amounts of value to them in that moment that they turned it on and it didn't work. Or they were inside the patient with the camera system running and something wasn't quite right. Or they wanted to try this, or change this, or experiment. If I was stood next to them, I could add massive value, and this in turn led to surgeons only working with me no matter what the cost was from competitors because they wanted my personal insights in the operating room with them. And that's practically how you add so much value that you just take your competition out of the playing field altogether. Finally, unless you're selling to a professional procurement team, it's likely that your buyer isn't used to buying things from your industry in the B2B environment. Buying new products, services, or technology probably makes up a tiny amount of what they do each year in their job. Whereas you're doing it day in, day out, over and over and over again. You know who needs to be involved. You know how long these things take. You know what issues needs to be investigated before a deal can happen. So you can add tremendous value by educating your buyer and streamlining their efforts throughout the entirety of the sales process. I close tons of training deals each and every year on the back of someone reads the book, they go, oh, this is really succinct. They'll reach out to a few competitors, and then there's a big, stupid, complicated contract that they've got to sign, and there's an NDA, and there's all this and that going on. Whereas I go, okay, great. Well, I've sold this program hundreds, if not thousands of times at this point to medium to large size organizations and also individuals. This is how it works. If you get signed up today, we'll have a one-on-one call tomorrow. You'll get the copy of all the books and all the literature in the next few days, and you'll be running through the program and you'll have completed it within the next week or so. Here are a bunch of video testimonials of people who have been through this in a similar industry to yourself. Here's the results they've got. Would it make sense to get started? I've been through the sales process of selling our salesman.com training academy to, again, thousands of people. And so I can offer insights and guide people through that buying process, and buyers love you taking all that stress and pressure off them and essentially facilitating the deal. So there we have it, 3 ways to increase the total value that you can offer to your buyer so that you never have to compete on price ever again. And if you enjoyed this video, why not click the video that's on the screen right now and continue making selling simple.